That's right. Hey, check it out. I sound like me, sort of.
I know. You're a lot better than you have been.
I know. It's been like, 4 weeks now?
Something like that.
God, that's been crazy.
You sound much better than when I used to hear you.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Always a kind word from,
That's right.
from the man.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Joe's back, everybody.
I'm back.
Joe's back. Hi, Joe.
Maybe not all of me, but I'm back for the most part.
Dude. You've got your arm all wrapped up, dude. Man.
Yeah, I took off, and for 6 weeks, I took off and did a play, and all I got was this stupid broken hand and diabetes.
I was about to
That's
say,
a bummer.
you look like you're going to whack Arnold Schwarzenegger in the face or something.
You
with
said whack. That's funny.
So that last performance must have been killer. You walked away with a broken hand?
They say break a leg. I need my legs, so I decided to go with a hand.
Go with the hand.
Okay.
Well, that's good. And
So
you need to
hopefully
walk, dude.
this
That'd
thing-
be good.
Yeah, I need to walk. I like walking.
Walking is good.
But no, it's great to be back. So I see you fired Thaddeus since I've been gone.
Thaddeus is gone. No,
Okay.
no. Thaddeus is off doing some kind of stuff with his other job over in Las Vegas. He's doing some kind of convention or some such.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, he's up doing that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Win us some money, Thaddeus. He's obviously listening to us right now.
I hope so,
online.
through the iHeart Radio app.
Yeah, which
You
you can
are-
listen to as well.
That's right. You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. And, of course, you can listen to us online streaming at the iHeartRadio.com. I like the iHeart. I don't know why I said the.
So you're like those kids in the iHeartRadio.com.
Yeah, the iHeartRadio. Yeah, all those newfangled machines.
Everything needs an indefinite article.
Phone numbers up here are area code 214-787-1190 or 817-787-1190. You can give us a call, comment on anything that we're talking about this evening. We got a lot of stuff to get to tonight.
Yeah, 10-pound show in a 5-pound bag,
That's right.
as they say.
And, of course, you can check out our website, thenerdshowonline.com. You can like us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/thenerd show. You can follow us on Twitter at The Nerd Show.
Yeah, I just tweeted.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
Joe is back. You're
Joe's-
welcome.
Yeah, nice.
By the way, screw me. The is a definite article. Bad grammar nerd.
He's been like agonizing about that since he said it. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
I know. I'm
That's right.
slapping myself silly over here.
so what are we talking about today?
Well, you know, the big convention up in Chicago happened. That's the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, C2E2.
C2E2.
That's right.
KKEE. Never mind.
Never mind. Wow, dude, you're so off your game over there.
I am. I'm having a tough time tonight.
Wow, man. Well, you know, Marvel and DC have both made some very interesting announcements at their C2E2 booths and panels. Actually, one is with the DC panel. They're talking pretty much all before Watchmen, and of course, we all know how you feel about before Watchmen. Joe.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Oh, just to drive this home a little bit, I want to read this quote from Dan DiDio. It says, just to make you feel even worse,
No,
Joe.
because Dan DiDio's quotes are always the most intelligent.
They
and well thought
so
out.
are,
Please,
dude.
Please go ahead.
It's been great.
I can't wait to hear what Dan DiDio has to say.
Sounds like my
Can
dad.
you do it in that Dan DiDio voice? Can you please do it like that?
No.
Okay.
No, I can't.
All right, then.
Do you need to hand it to me? Do I need to read it like my dad? My daddy from Brooklyn?
No, but your dad is so intelligent, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, he
this
produced
is
me, so.
detailing the reasons for bringing a Watchmen prequel to the stands. We believe they still have stories that can be told.
Money symbols.
That's my first thought as well. We've done several things, but the reality is that we found out people want to see more Watchmen material.
Money symbols.
Please point to these people so we can slap them around.
I would love to see their market research.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's like open book. Transparency, DC. Show it to us now.
Yeah. No.
I'm happy to say that every single person sitting up here on the stage, and of course he's referring to the DC panel that he's sitting in.
All those people that are collecting a paycheck from DC who aren't going to go like, oh, no, this is a horrible idea. This is terrible. You okay?
Wow,
over there?
Ben is distraught over this.
You've made me laugh, and it's terrible.
You're such a DC fanboy that I start talking bad about them and it kills you.
No, I think this is a horrible idea as well, this Before Watchmen. You're right.
Yeah.
Alan Moore did everything he wanted with these books, and to quote Gandalf, I don't want them writing anymore, because he looks like Gandalf now.
He does. He does kind of look like Gandalf. He looks like a cross between Gandalf and the trailer that producer Jeff showed me of Danny Trejo in that that badass movie.
It's like, yeah, a Gandalf recovering addict of some such. He was just in rehab for something, and I'm not sure what.
The sweaty toothed madman that is Alan Moore.
That is Alan Moore.
Yeah, no, it's the story of what Watchmen was. Watchmen is what it is. It was a self-contained thing.
Yep.
There was a point to Watchmen. It was a social statement that was being made that was very relevant to the Cold War era. Not so much anymore.
Nope.
Not so much. And just because you made a movie about it and people are aware of who these characters are, doesn't mean you need to go back and explore it. You could do this and people are like, well, people want to know about Ozymandias and what makes him what he is, and people want to know the history of people like Dr. Manhattan. I'm like, it's the Justice League. They just took these classic character archetypes and they twisted them and, for the most part, made them a little bit more real for the Watchmen universe. But for the most part, they're based on people like Batman, Ozymandias, millionaire superhero, Batman. You could go with that. And it's Night Owl also has some of that Bruce Wayne to him. You don't need to explore the history of these characters. It's not that interesting, and it's not that relevant to what Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons originally set out to tell. That's all I have to say. I'm sick of ranting about this because I feel just as psycho as Alan Moore.
I agree as well. It's a cry for money because I think their new 52 just isn't as strong as it could be.
It crapped the bed. As far as I don't know. Everyone that I've talked to, as far as retailers, collectors, and even people that work in the industry, New 52 tanked. They're selling comics, but they're not. The quality just isn't there.
Yeah.
The one that really hits me across the face the hardest is the Green Lantern book. Where you just come off the whole Blackest Night, Brightest Day.
Well, they're keeping that continuity is what's just making me so angry.
To me, that's fine if you want to keep that continuity. But
not when you're doing a massive relaunch.
Listen, though, to open up a new storyline on one of the darkest and most relevant stories that they've told with those characters in a long time, and then to reboot the Green Lantern comic and make it play out like a David Wayne film where Green Lantern is like, I'm down on my luck and I don't have a job and I was kicked out of my apartment. My girlfriend doesn't like me. Oh, it's a romantic comedy. No, you can't do that. You can't just jump into it like that with the Green Lantern. You have to do it subtly. There's a place for stories like that. You could tell stories like that, but you can't just jump into it after something as mind-blowing as the Blackest Night, Brightest Day storylines. You have to treat that, what just happened there, you have to treat that with the proper respect and then ease yourself into, let's explore these characters again. But there's no like, oh, Hal, you don't want to give me a ring and propose to me. And it's so insulting as a reader.
Oh, it is. And, moving, because we could go on, Green Lantern.
Oh, yes.
Because I've been such a fan of it since about 2002. I went back and I read a lot of Green Lantern stuff. And I even went back recently and read, Blackest Night and Brightest Day. And I'm like, that level is not there anymore.
Remember when you interviewed Jeff Johns and you totally kissed his butt about what he was doing with the New 52?
Won't let that one go,
because
Joe.
No, he won't. And, dude, I don't want to explain that anymore.
That's what friends and real nerds do, is we keep each other in check.
Moving on, Marvel has also, they're actually going to be releasing an Ultimate Comics line, so they're doing a pseudo relaunch as well with some of their books.
So wait, they're rebooting the Ultimate Comics?
The
Ultimate line has been around for a while.
It has been, and they're doing Spider-Man, X-Men Ultimates, and the details I haven't read too much on it yet. I know they're going to be rebooting Ms. Marvel as well. It's just it seems like it's gonna. They really want to follow in suit with what DC's doing with the New 52.
Well, I feel like DC's New 52 was following what Marvel originally established with the Ultimates universe, right, that they did, because I believe they established the Ultimates universe back when the first X-Men movie came out.
Yeah.
If first X-Men movie came out before the first Spider-Man film, correct? Was that?
Yes,
okay.
I think Ben, you and I talked about that.
Yes, it was, because the original Spider-Man, not the original Spider-Man, but Spider-Man came out in 2002.
Okay. Yeah, they released the Ultimates line around that time. And they were great stories. It was really cool. They were retelling some really good stuff, but, keeping it fresh, but they tried to hurry too much to get to, like, the really important stuff. Like, they tried to get to Venom within, like, the first 20 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Really?
But I always kind of was under the impression that DC with their New 52 was kind of taking a page from Marvel's book when they did the Ultimates thing. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I mean, that was really the big thing with Marvel is they're relaunching some of their titles with a new, fresher take on it, and they're really excited about it. That's pretty much it. With any other details that you want to do, go to c2e2.com and check out everything that happened, its full coverage of the convention, all that kind of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Hunger Games Week 4 beating the snot out of everyone else.
Absolutely.
Don't
everything.
even bother putting a movie out right now.
No.
Oh, man.
wouldn't,
You
yeah.
know what, though? There's some good stuff to see. If you don't want to see the Hunger Games, I was just telling the guys in here, Cabin in the Woods. It's amazing.
That's what you were saying. It got almost 15 million. Is this the opening weekend?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Written by Joss Whedon. I believe, I can't remember who it's directed by, but it's fantastic. It's really good. I don't want to spoil anything, but it makes you rethink every horror movie you've ever seen.
That is cool.
That's
I'm
all
going
I'm
to
say.
check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to see Hunger Games though. I need
Oh,
to see it.
dude,
I've
you
heard
should have
so
come with
many-
us.
Did you guys go?
We did.
Oh,
We went and saw Hunger Games first weekend out. It was really cool.
Oh, did you
really
guys
cool.
all wear your little Mockingjay
No,
pendants
we didn't
and
wear
stuff?
Mockingjay pins.
Well, I would have loved to have done that if we all wore like matching Mockingjay shirts and stuff.
That would have been so adorable.
All right. Next up, we're going to be talking to Keith from Keith's Comics. We're going to be talking about, if you have valuable comics or collectibles, what do you do with them?
I've got a good question for him too.
Okay,
Because
excellent.
with the con coming up, there's a creator coming up, and I don't know if I want him to sign something really old or not.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, we'll be talking to Keith next from Keith's Comics. You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM.
What did you like better, Jedi or The Empire Strikes Back? Empire. Blasphemy.
It's the Nerd Show.
You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM, and of course, streaming online at iHeartRadio.com. You can listen to us on those two things.
Link, come to town.
Are you okay over there?
I'm
You're singing along, dude.
Singing
You're
along.
having fun.
I
It's
love
been a
it.
while, man.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
I miss these rejoins.
Phone numbers up here to the station are area code 214-787-1190 or 817-787-1190, or you can follow us on Facebook. Glenn, you're on Facebook over there.
I am indeed.
That's facebook.com/The Nerd Show. We read your comments during the show. We post, all the latest nerd stuff that we come across. Cool pics, videos, all that kind of cool stuff. Right now, we have Keith from Keith's Comics on the phone with us.
Woo!
Keith, thank you for joining us this evening.
Hey, glad to do it. So what do you guys want to talk about tonight?
Well, a lot of people have a lot of valuable comics and collectibles that they've collected over the years, especially, back when they were kids. They would buy the comics, and their major question when they come across these books and collectibles in their garages or in their attics or some such, are they valuable or would they become valuable in the future? I mean, I know you purchase a lot of items. People bring a lot of items in. You look at them, and how do you appraise something to be deemed valuable or not when they first come into the store?
Well, the thing you got to remember is that I'm a business, and I look at everything as, if I buy this, will I be able to resell it and make money? Because at the end of the day, Keith's Comics is a business there to make money.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at your collectibles, whether they're going to be worth something in the future, I really can't speak to that because I've been in this business 23 years, and what was very valuable in the mid-1990s, I literally buy for a penny each now.
Mm-hmm.
And some things that in the 1980s that we laughed at in the quarter bins, we sell for $50, $60, $70, $80 now. So it's a cyclical thing. It's tastes change. The only thing I will tell you that seems to have been constant is that the higher grade, the better condition it is, the better hope it has of being valuable. Past that, it's strict capitalism, baby. It's supply and demand.
Yeah.
There are brand new comics right now that go on eBay for $10, $15, $20, and there's 1950 comics that you can't give away for a quarter each. So we can go from there, and if we want to talk about specific things, if we're talking about 1990s comics,
Right.
it's hard to believe, but those are 20 years old, but still we give a pittance for. If you're talking about high-end key issues like your grandmother found them in her garage, well, that's a whole different story, and I'm going to have to line up investors around the block to help me buy them from you.
Well, and of course, all of us read comics in the early '90s, and we're all very.
You mean my 28 copies of Savage Dragon with the different variant covers from 1996 isn't going to be worth anything now?
Oh, man, they are great kindling.
I do have a specific question for you, Keith. Joe Cucinotti from the Nerd Show. I had to get all official.
Of course.
I do have a specific question for you. With the Dallas Comic-Con coming up, and I was asking Ben and Glenn this while we were in the break. I'm a huge Wolverine fan. I got a copy of, Hulk 180 and 181, pretty decent condition. And with Len Wein coming in, would you, as a professional, would you recommend I get him to sign that? Or are those the kind of books like you don't have anyone touch at this point?
Well, you have to decide what it is you're trying to do in your collection. If you think that you're going to keep this for the rest of your life and you're going to enjoy putting it into a UV-resistant frame and having it on your wall so that as you're sitting at your study, kicked back with your Mr. Moneybags money behind you, feet up on the desk, and you're going to glance up and look at it, every couple of hours, then have Lynn sign it, have Bernie Wrightson sign it. If you think that you're doing this for some maybe potential value in the future, I don't know that it's going to harm the book that much. But without, it won't add that much, in my professional opinion, because you don't have it verified. You're not going to have a third party authenticate it.
Gotcha.
And now it's just somebody scribbling on your book.
Right. Okay.
The pendulum has swung both ways on that. I've seen somebody famous like that really add value in the past, and I've seen grading services take off because it's writing on the cover. Where it's going to be at in the future, I don't know. And that is on those books, those two key books. Those are so important to the industry, but they could also be so important personally.
Yeah.
There's like 16 different questions in there, and you have to decide what you're wanting to do. The thrill of watching Len Wein sign your Hulk 181 might be worth it for a lifetime. And then let your kids worry about what they're going to do with it.
Exactly.
Just scribble on the front of the book.
I appreciate that. I was really kind of curious about what you would do professionally in that situation.
Yeah, me personally, I'd have him sign them. Professionally, I would probably hold off and let the next guy who's going to buy them from me make that call.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Now, Keith, I'm just thinking real quick. You mentioned some of these, some things will come in that you wouldn't, pay a penny for. Have you ever had any customers come in with something that you felt was really not worth anything, and they kind of really gotten into an argument and caused a scene over it?
Oh, sure. That's happened. As we've been in business for a while, though, we know how to start off the conversation and how to get people to a place where, we've been in business and we've matured enough is that we've learned that you don't have to insult people because their books aren't worth anything. They're just not worth anything. And you have to gently, very gently, guide them into that realization themselves. Unfortunately, for many people, it's the only thing they own of any perceived value. And they're in a tough, jam spot, and they think that they're going to be able to cash them out like they were in the 1990s. That's a really tough situation where I have to say to someone, basically, your books aren't worth anything, and not only are they not worth anything, I don't want them. And it's a tough situation, and I've been in it many times here recently with the economy being so bad for so long, and then recently with it, a little uptick, and people take new jobs, and they move, or they make the decision that paying for that storage locker for all this time is a losing proposition. And we see it especially on like Star Wars action figures from the 90s, which were so smoking hot all through the 90s and early 2000s. But now, the ones that we all remember as being highly sought after and valuable, I'm giving $1, $2 trade credit for them. And it's just, it's really difficult. But you have to approach it from the moment they walk in, not be adversarial, talk to them about what the market is really like, and at the end of the day, not insult them or their intelligence or make them think that I'm trying to rip them off. And you have to sometimes say to them, I'm going to tell you what they're worth, and then I'm going to tell you I'm not going to buy your books. I'm not just trying to lowball you. I'm just not going to buy them because they have no value. So it's a tough situation.
A true professional indeed.
Well, you try to be, because everybody's situation turns around. The guy that has those, has those comics, had the love for comics, bought comics in the past, obviously, because they're holding them in their hand. At some point, they're going to come back to comics, and I want to be able to sell them and have good reputation with those people whenever their situation turns around. And for goodness sakes, I've been in this business long enough that the cycle does turn around. All these comics I'm buying for a penny a piece are going to run out eventually, and then all these books may be worth $5, $10, $15, and I will need to buy them from them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, has there ever been anything that's come through your store that you've just, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is here. I have to buy this now?
Oh, well, sure, that's happened many, many times. I've made a fool of myself sometimes, breaking my hand trying to get to my checkbook.
Do you remember one particular instance where it was just, oh my goodness?
Well, there's a couple of answers to this question. There's been situations where I've done that, and then there's been situations where I wanted it so bad but could not get the deal done.
Oh, wow.
That's the horror story, is that when about 2 years ago, a lady brought in her collection. Her mom had owned an antique store, and they finally decided to liquidate it. And I looked at this huge collection of all these beautiful books, and we could never even get to a point where how much we wanted to make a deal for, or if a deal could be made. We just kept dancing around what the number could be, and I finally just threw out a number, but I couldn't get a counter offer. And unfortunately, when people see lots of money and they get it in their mind that now they're going to be rich and it's going to be easy, I'm just going to put them on Craigslist or eBay.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing I can do. I learned this saying a long time ago. I can buy your books, but I can't buy your memories, and I can't buy your hopes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And sometimes I've just been in that situation where you just look at these awesome, awesome books that no one's seen for 20 years, and you can't make a deal on them, and it eats your soul. But you got to move on.
Mm-hmm. Now, this may be a dumb question, but I'm notorious for that. Now, with places like locally, the Movie Trading Company, I know they're starting to take comic books and toys and stuff. And you've also got like half-price books. They're taking toys and comics and reselling those. How is that affecting you business-wise? Like, I know at least I've been into the store there off of Mockingbird, and there aren't a whole lot of back issues. Like, I do see a lot of trades and stuff, and I love the trade selection. But does that affect you negatively, or is that a cool thing that you can refer people to if they come in and try to sell something you can't take?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, because I try to buy everything that walks through the door.
Oh, gotcha.
And recently we've been very successful taking almost everything that's come through the door. And what you're telling me about Movie Trading Company, that's news to me. I didn't know half-price books took toys, because we're just flooded with people trying to sell stuff.
That's great.
And if it's affecting us, it must be affecting us in the positive way.
That's good.
Because we're actually we're turning a lot of vintage toys. Now, there's not a lot of collectible toys in there.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't bringing in expensive toys and turning them. I'm able to buy stuff really cheap and turn around and sell them really cheap to people who just want them, not necessarily as collectibles.
Mm-hmm. As
far as old comics go, for almost a decade, I've been buying any collection that would walk through the door that I could close the deal on. And about January, February this year, we remodeled the middle of our store, and we're slowly starting to put out these books that we've been buying for a decade.
Oh, great.
And it's crazy what are in these boxes. Some 1940s adventure comics went up on the wall today. Our Fantastic Four #1 came out of a box.
Oh, my gosh.
We have a run of DC comics from 1961 to 1963 that the guy read one time and put them in a cedar chest.
Oh,
it's
man.
nuts, the kind of things that we've been buying and sitting on. And now that we've finally decided that we're going to make an effort on the back issues, and it's going to take some time. And because as anyone who's been in our store, we are, like you said, people had moved towards graphic novels, moved towards the new reading comics.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel like people are really interested in some nostalgia and some interesting books from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. We're starting to have some action on. Mm-hmm. Books like, when I was collecting Devil Dinosaur by Jack Kirby.
Devil Dinosaur, yes.
Goodness.
That was in the quarter bins. I mean, you couldn't give those things away.
That's
now
great.
They're 35 years old, and people who are in their 20s and 30s have never seen them, never heard of them. They're going, Jack Kirby did this, and I can buy a Mint #1 for $50. I'm in.
That's great.
Wow.
I love the treasure hunt. That's what I love. I love going through. Give me some long boxes to just flip through. Oh my God, I'm in heaven.
So we're starting to really turn runs of books. Now that people are interested in reading in storylines, we'll bag up the 10, 15 books that are in a storyline, put those together on the new release shelf, and it's like a fake trade paperback, if you will, that's never been collected.
That's great.
Oh, excellent. Is there any websites you would recommend, or you just have potential customers just bring your stuff into the store to be appraised?
I think that they should trust me implicitly in whatever I offer. They should.
And I can tell you're being so impartial right there.
Well, here's the thing that I would really like to impart to anybody who decides that it's time for them to sell. Do some research so you know what you have. It's frustrating for me to break off what I'm doing, to look at your stuff, and then I say, well, how much do you want for it? And they say, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what do you have? I don't know. Well, then how do you know if I'm giving you a good deal or not? How about $1?
Yeah. Walk in with a ballpark idea, so you know what you're doing when you're trying to sell the stuff to Keith.
Yes.
Right, because it's going to help you get more money from me when you say, hey, I've got the first appearance of this, this, and this. I have complete runs of this and this. Now I want to buy your stuff because it's going to be easier for me to sell. Yeah. If you have a random box of comics and so many people, I just ask, well, what would make you the happiest? And they hadn't even thought about that. I mean, if I offered you $1,000, would that be enough?
Oh, my goodness.
So have an idea of what you have, what it's worth, what you think that would be a fair price for it. Remember, I'm going to try to buy it for as little money as I can. Because I'm going to turn around and try to sell it. I got to put man hours into rebagging and boarding it, processing it, putting it on display, possible shrinkage, maybe sitting on the money that I've given you for the books for a long time. If I can't make at least 100% on the purchase, that means giving you $5 for a $10 product, then I'm probably not going to do the deal because I can buy a brand new product for that amount.
Right.
So,
well, you certainly give us a lot to think on, Keith. And, of course, do your research before taking your stuff to Keith. Keith's Comics, that's off of Mockingbird. And, of course, go in. He'll be a businessman to you, but he'll give you a fair price.
Fair.
Yeah, I want to buy your stuff. Come by and see me.
All right. Thank you, Keith, for joining us. We'll stay tuned because we'll be reviewing Wonder Woman. Hopefully you'll have fun listening to that because we've got some stories about it.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. You call me anytime.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, you've been listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. Next up, we will be discussing board games, and we've got some history on it as well. So you're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM.
Hi, I'm Gary Busey.
It's The Nerd Show.
Yeah, that's our liner from Gary Busey.
Board games.
I just know he's going to murder me in my sleep sometime and start cackling at me like that.
He's got to know where you live first.
Yeah, I know. He's Gary Busey. I bet he can find out.
Gary Busey.
He's like reaching this weird Chuck Norris level of mythology.
No.
Okay, never mind.
He's like the anti-Chuck.
He's reaching that level in crazy, I think.
Crazy. There you go. You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. Streaming online, iHeartRadio.com. Phone numbers to the station are 214-787-1190 or 817-787-1190. Check out our website, thenerdshowonline.com. You can actually listen to us live if you click on our logo on our front page. You can get bios on us, the nerds. You can, if you miss a show, you can check out our audio page. We post all of our past shows on there. Links to Facebook and Twitter, emails, any cool stuff, or if you want to advertise with us, go ahead and check it out. We've got a page about that too. Why are you laughing?
No, that's good. You still got to be the businessman.
I do. I have to get this done, man. Come on. All right. Actually, we've came up with a really cool idea.
Actually?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to say it 3 or 4 more times, Joe. Okay,
sounds
just
good.
to annoy you.
Sounds good.
All right.
That actually sounds good.
Good. I'm glad it actually does.
Please tell me what it is you guys came up with.
Well, it's a poll whether or not Joe should get his Len Wein comic signed. The first appearance of Wolverine.
Yeah. Oh, so the fans are going to decide.
Yeah. Have you ever figured out how to do a poll question over there, Glenn?
No, I'm working on it.
Okay, so maybe we could pose that question here.
Yes.
On the show.
And then comment on the Facebook and Twitter pages.
Or you can call and tell us what you think.
I was getting to that. God,
I'm
get
sorry.
off me, Joe.
I'm living in the future.
Marty!
You can...
The dueling Chris Lloyds.
That's right.
This is going to be the worst show ever, man.
No, it's
I
not.
like comic books.
Way past that point.
Okay.
Yeah, give us a call. Let us know. Should Joe get his Hulk 180, 181 signed or not?
Yeah.
That's a very good question.
And if not the comic, what should I have him sign instead?
Indeed. Now,
board games.
Let's get on to board games. Thank you, Glenn.
Yes.
Board games have come a long way in the last 100 years, and I'm very surprised that
Everything's come a long way in the last 100 years. No, please go ahead. Go on.
What are you on over here, Joe?
It's my pain meds for my hand.
Yeah,
It's my pain meds. Okay. No, board games have come a long way in 100 years.
Yes, and they've incorporated technology as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, more people are having a lot more of game nights nowadays. And Glenn, you and I were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, dude, I was thinking the economy's kind of hit everyone hard in the past few years, and I see board games kind of making a resurgence. And we were talking about the history, and we really kind of entered the modern era of board games probably around the 30s and 40s. That's when Monopoly came out, Sorry, Chutes and Ladders, Scrabble, Candyland, Clue. And I think around the Depression, you probably had people staying in a lot more and not really going out and do things because, well, they couldn't afford it.
Right. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those games have actually, stood up the test of time and are even bought and played today.
Oh, I do love to play Clue on occasion.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's been so long since I played Clue.
And they've got different versions of it now. They've got like D&D Clue.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they've got Office Clue. Yeah, there's different kinds.
I must look into this.
The
Michael
D&D
Scott in the break room.
In the break room.
With the stapler.
With the stapler.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Well, one game that we have actually over at my house, is Seen It.
Your favorite game to play with Thaddeus.
Oh, man. I thought it was going to be a fun, it wasn't.
You know what you guys should try if you're really into like movie trivia and stuff? Do you have Pass the Popcorn?
No.
You should get that one too.
What is Pass the Popcorn?
Pass the Popcorn, it's kind of like Trivial Pursuit, but all like pop culture, movie trivia. It's really fun, really easy to get into. You pick a category and stuff, and then you get a card, ask a question. It's amazingly very like modern, up to date stuff too. You'd probably really like that. We had a game night last night. Ironically, we had like a huge board game night. Just some friends and I. We did some Munchkin, some zombie dice.
So that's what happened to your hand.
We pulled out the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Pizza Power game.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've got the old Goonies board game from 1983.
Buffy had a board game?
Buffy has a board game.
I must have this Buffy board game.
Yeah, I'll be happy to sell you one. I've got two of them.
So if I can go touch on
Keith.
If I can touch on Seen It again.
Of course.
You brought that up. Seen It came out in 2002, and I think that really kind of ushered in a new era of video-based board games. But I remember, and I looked up a little bit before the show, back in the 80s, they attempted this with VCR-based games.
Oh, yeah.
And I had this, the VCR basketball game. And I remember it was this weird turn-based card game that you played on a board where, depending on where you drew the card, a different thing could happen. And there were VCR cards that you could draw where if you drew that, you hit play on the VCR. And it was really kind of a pain in the butt and not a very good concept because VHS tapes are a linear format. So over time, you tend to memorize exactly what the sequence is so you know what's going to happen. Of course, with the emergence of DVDs now, you can do a completely unique game every time because you have a nonlinear access. So, the DVD kind of randomizes everything for you. So you have a unique game every time you played. And Seen It really played on that. Then you started getting the DVD versions of Trivial Pursuit. And you started getting all these Seen It spinoffs, like you had Friends Seen It.
007.
007. You had Harry Potter. There's a Lord of the Rings Seen It and/or Trivial Pursuit. So it really is, a different concept to really work on.
There is a downside to any of those specialized Trivial Pursuit games, and you and I, Glenn, can attest to the Star Wars.
Oh,
Seen
yes. No, Trivial Pursuit. It was Star Wars Trivial
was
Pursuit.
It? Okay, it was
yes.
Trivial Pursuit, and it got to the point where we went, what was it, like 20 minutes? We went through the game?
Yeah. Well, we played, I don't even think it was that long, maybe 20 minutes total. I think we played 4 different rounds, and we had about 7 total turns the entire time. At one point, I just went into the corner and opened a beer, and I said, you know what, just tell me when you're finished.
And that's the problem with the specialized ones. Like, I've got the 007 Seen It, and I think out of everybody I know, like I'm just a huge Bond fan, and so I know a lot of that stuff. I've also got the Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit, and whenever you sit down and play it, whoever owns the game is going to be awesome at it, and it kind of alienates everybody else. So it's kind of tough. You got to get a lot of people that have that same similar interest. Like, I think you and I don't know how you are, Glenn, when it comes to like the Lord of the Rings trivia and stuff. But
I was probably more into the books than the movie. I love the movies, but I was definitely into the books too.
Then I get a feeling that the three of us would have an epic Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit game. But if we get together with like a couple of my other random friends that just, I've seen the movies, they're okay. I pretty much own when it comes to that. Not that I'm proud of that. It's just a simple fact. And it's not quite as fun to
own
pull
up to it, dude. You're proud.
It's just not as fun to pull that one out when you're hanging out with your friends. But
see, here's the problem with Trivial Pursuit is you get to go if you get the question right. That was our problem with Star Wars is because we kept getting the questions right. So one person would go for like 5 minutes.
And we go through, we'd get to the end of the game. And it got to the point where we actually started inventing our own answers to the questions.
Yeah, and it got a little vulgar.
Yeah, it got a little inebriated, and we started inventing our own answers.
Okay, so now that we're at the point where I think board games are coming back, there's a huge resurgence. You look and you see like there are game stores, like there's a specialty shop in Plano that they sell not only comics but they also sell board games and a lot of gaming materials. Have you guys ever created your own board game?
I've never created one, but I play one that really kind of synthesized between a bunch of friends. There's apparently a version of it that you can buy, but there's really no point to it. We just call it Telephone Pictionary. And the way it works is you get in a group. It works better with an odd number of people. The first person, you have a stack of cards. So let's say you're playing with 5 people.
This is great.
You have a stack of 5 cards. The first person writes a word or phrase, whatever they want, and then they pass it to the next person. The next person on the next card has to draw a picture of the word or phrase, and then they pass it on. The next person has to take the picture, and they have to write what they think it is. So, I guess the object of the game is to have it go completely through.
Yeah.
But it's way more fun when it doesn't, and it can go a number of different directions. We played one game where we had one of our friends he took a couple Star Wars characters, and let's just say it involved Princess Leia in her slave outfit and some very nasty things. But then it can also take a very sinister turn where I wrote down, to start off, I wrote New York Jets. And it went around the circle and came back as September 11th.
Oh, my God.
So it can take a very bad turn depending on who you're playing with.
Wow. Could we put the rules up for this game, like on the website and stuff?
Yeah.
I'm sure we could.
Yeah, we could probably do it on Facebook and Twitter. That'd be great.
It's a great party game.
That'd be really fun.
It is. Your wife Alexa actually put that together.
She or some of her friends did.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know who actually initiated it, but it's become a hit at all of our parties now.
That's really cool. What's your favorite board game?
I would have
stumpy question.
That's right. I was like, oh my goodness. I would have to say probably the Star Wars Trivial Pursuit right now, just because I like technology. I like the DVD aspect of it. I like the fast pace of it.
Yeah.
Right behind it is probably Sorry.
Okay.
Just old school Sorry.
Glenn?
Classically, probably Trivial Pursuit, but my family always played that. We did the version that came out in the 80s, so it still had questions about the Soviet Union.
Oh my gosh.
But more recently, I've gotten more into party games and especially card games. I love Apples to Apples.
Yeah.
Especially depending on who you're playing with, and they'll just randomly throw down the Helen Keller card for no reason.
What about you, Joe?
Classically, I'd probably have to say Scrabble. I love playing Scrabble. I love word games just of any kind. But when it comes to the more modern games and stuff, like I played Munchkin with some friends last night. Really enjoyed that.
Right.
Played a lot of these Steve Jackson games. Played this game called Zombie Dice, which now I've got an app on my phone. Which it's really simple, really easy to learn, addictive.
You were playing this before the game. All I'm hearing over there from your corner is and then this dice.
Oh, I got brains again.
It's a weird sounding game. I want to check it out.
It's so fun. Yeah, no, I'll show it to you when we're finished here.
All right, cool. Oh, cool. I'm hearing Back to the Future. Yeah, that's right. Nice, dude. Nice. All right, you're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. Next up, we'll be going to be going over Wonder Woman as part of Nerd Show's comic book weekly review brought to you by Keith's Comics. So stay tuned.
If your life had a face, I would punch it.
It's The Nerd Show.
Kid Pine doesn't have to punch our faces.
This is the new one. I'm sure I'm a fan of the new Futurama.
No?
Nah. Well, I mean, the new theme. I mean, I love the show.
Good news, everyone.
That's eerie.
I know.
Man. All right. This is the Nerd Show's weekly comic book review brought to you by Keith's Comics. Keith's Comics is located over at 5400 East Mockingbird Lane in Dallas. They've been there since 1989. And, of course, they got other locations. They got More Fun Comics in Lancaster, More Fun Comics in Denton, More Fun Comics Denton in Denton. Yeah, that's the way it's in, yeah. And then Keith Comics North Dallas. And, of course, for more info, keithscomics.com. You can also follow Keith on Twitter at Keith since 1989 or on Facebook, facebook.com/KeithsComics. Let's talk Wonder Woman. Now, I know, okay, we read.
Go on. Do it.
You know, a lot of the comics that we've read so far, I think, have been more reality-based. And this one seems to have taken the opposite direction, more fantasy-based, I think.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's fantasy, but I guess it's very mythologically based. You have a lot of the structure of the Greek gods. And, I mean, there's very little of the real world involved, it seems. I mean, they're in London, and that's about all of the real world you really get.
Yeah. Well, they did a complete character redesign on all the gods of the Greek pantheon.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
A little bit, yeah. Sidon looks just...
He's a big giant fish.
He's a big fish monster.
And
that's a little weird.
Yeah, it's not like a cool-looking fish
Hades
monster.
is a candle.
Yeah, he's got a candle head. He's like Candlehead. He's like the face, and then you see it's a candle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like a little kid too.
Yeah, he was awfully
Short.
small. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
I mean, from an overall design standpoint, I mean, aside from the weird nuances of the redesigns, I mean, for one thing, Wonder Woman, it looks remarkably the same. They just went silver instead of gold.
Yeah.
But they did take from an artistic standpoint, they really kind of went retro with it. It looks quite a bit more like almost 60s than because the other new 52 releases have been very sleek.
Yeah.
But this one has a little bit more of a rough look, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from a graphic standpoint, I think it looked really nice.
I do too. Now, from a story standpoint, Joe, you were saying that the story's pretty clunky.
I think it's I've only read the first issue. There was nothing in the first issue that made me want to continue to read the book.
Right.
I'm generally a fan of Azzarello's work, and you know, I just, especially coming off of, he did the Joker book,
right?
I believe with Bermejo. Was it Lee Bermejo he did that with? And then they teamed up again and did the Lex Luthor book. His work is usually really good.
Yeah.
And he did a run on Batman for a while, which was pretty great. But this Wonder Woman one is really clunky, really forced. I feel like a lot of times these writers don't know what to do with this character. And so they end up going this weird typical route where we end up having to go like, oh, we're going to include the gods and what, instead of going with what's going on in the real world, like what you were saying, a lot of it seemed real worldly. So maybe they were trying to go fantasy based with it. But I feel like going the typical route with that character, I feel like that's not always the smartest move.
It seems you're very restricted with Wonder Woman, just as much as you are with Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's just so much you can do with the character. Why are you laughing at Aquaman?
Because I hate Aquaman.
We reviewed Aquaman. It was good.
I didn't review it.
You weren't here, dude.
I wasn't here. But no, I think Aquaman's a waste of a character.
Yeah.
But I think Wonder Woman is a character with so much potential.
Indeed.
And we get just kind of the same old crap. I mean, reading that first issue, you're 2 pages into it, and there's some girl in her underwear running around. It just seemed really fan servicey and, not as bad as Catwoman #1, but I just wasn't into it.
It seemed to have a lot of action without a lot of substance.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I finished the 7, and honestly, I would be okay not reading more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've read it too, and I'm very indifferent to it as well.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't recommend it.
Me neither.
Joe?
That's thumbs down.
Thumbs down. All right, that's thumbs downs all around for Wonder Woman. You've been listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. Let's see. Check out our website, thenerdshowonline.com, Facebook at facebook.com/thenerdShow. Follow us on Twitter at The Nerd Show. Thank you for joining us this week. Special thanks for Keith for coming with us and Glenn for stopping by. Thank you.
Later.
The Nerd Show is a production of Nerdville Entertainment. All